welcome back. Today I'm reviewing the newest cigar from Drew Estate. This is the Kentucky Fire Cured, a division of the MUWAT, or My Uzi Weighs a Ton line. This is basically the same cigar as the My Uzi Weighs a Ton internally, only it uses the Kentucky Fire Cured wrapper. Now, there's quite a write-up on the blog about everything that the Drew Estate people had to go through to get this wrapper to burn properly and what have you, so check that out. But for now, let's get right to the review. This size is called Just a Friend. It is 6 by 52, and if you look closely, it looks the wrapper does change somewhat colors there, and that's all natural. If I turn it around, you can see where it starts and stops, but it actually looks like, in this particular sample, or one I purchased, this and this are two different colors, but it's just a way to fermenting in the wrapper turned out. So without further ado, let's get right to the KFC, or the Kentucky Fire Cured. Cigar does have a nice feel in the hand. There is the density, or the shot of the foot. Now let's see here. The wrapper is not overly shiny, but it does feel very coarse. Very good draw. This is the larger size of the Kentucky Fire Cured. Now, all the literature on the website say that this the wrapper is the only difference in this and the regular My Uzi Weighs a Ton. So I looked back to see what the other parts were, and it actually had a Connecticut binder and Brazilian Modafina filler with Nicaraguan filler. So not knowing exactly what this cigar has, I'm going to assume that's what it is, and a Kentucky Fire Cured wrapper. The first flavors I'm getting are very sweet cedar with quite a bit of coffee notes, quite a bit of black pepper, which I'll rate at about an 8. And there are some cream notes to go along with the sweet cedar that remind me a lot of whipping cream. Now, there's also some influence of some citrus notes there attached to or in between the cedar and the cream. You can detect them, but it's not quite evident yet exactly what type they are. The finish is a very, now this is going to be a weird term, but it actually has smoky characteristics to a cream finish. You could almost say a toasted cream, but it tastes more than toasted. It tastes smoked. And quite a bit of lingering pepper too. The pepper is black pepper, and as I said, is quite intense. At this point, I would say it would top out at about an 8. It's very, very intense, very nice. So those are your initial flavors, and the reports of it burning this wrapper when they first started burning unevenly. This one is burning very nice so far. So I'm about a ½ inch in. So let's see where we go from here. Well, I'm about an inch in, as you can see, and the cigar by this point usually settles down into what it's probably going to be like for the most part. So let's take that for what it is. Here you have that very sweet cedar. Now some nutmeg notes to go along with the coffee, and I'm going to expand that a little more and say dark chocolate also, because there's a lot of sweet, deep flavors there. The pepper is still good. The finish is still, like we talked about before, sort of a very toasty, smoky cream, and a lot of lingering pepper. It's just all over the palate. I'm not sure where the cream notes we spoke about before are. I don't really find them at this point, but with that dark, almost a milk chocolate flavor, I think they're mixed in there. But the cigar is very good. I would call it really, it feels a lot like medium to full bodied right now, let's say it's either medium or medium to full, and it's probably a coin toss, and the difference is minute. It really, to me, feels medium to full bodied right now. So, and the burn could not be any better. I mean, if you read up on the trouble they had with this particular wrapper burning evenly, there is no problem right now. And it's very pretty ash, if you will. Very light, white, almost white, just salt and pepper, mostly salt. So the cigar is going along very nicely, has great flavors, very dark noted cigar. Let's see where we go from here. Well, I'm about 2.5 inches in, and the flavors are changing a bit. You still have a very sweet cedar. That's first and foremost. We're starting to get a little richness to it. You still have the nutmeg notes, but now you also have cocoa notes that are more in line of the flavor that you're getting rather than the dark chocolate. Coffee notes are still at the base. The cocoa and the cedar are both showing richness, and it's very nice. Thick, sort of a sweetness to it. There's also some charred oak notes, a very smoky charred oak flavor mixed in there, sort of intermixed in all those flavors. You can get that here, and the finish is about the same. Very long, pleasing finish. So I would still call the cigar medium to full body, just like we were before. But the upfront flavors have changed just a bit, and they're very nice. A lot of dark, sweet notes, though. That's what this cigar is going to be about, dark, sweet flavors. Well, I've got a couple inches remaining, and I removed the band because I was getting very close to it, and look what I discovered. If you look there, where I'd said before there were different colors of the wrapper, there is definitely, that's by design, the wrapper from about 1.5 inches down is different. Now, I don't claim to know why, but in the backs of my mind, I do recall where I purchased this from, that they brought that to my attention now that I see this. So you definitely have different wrappers there. Once I get to that point, we'll see what happens, but I'm anticipating something happening. Flavors are about the same as we spoke about before. It's rocking along right around that same general flavor. So thought I would point that out about the wrapper, and let's see what happens when we get there. Well, I'm into that last part of the wrapper here, and the flavor, the cigar, first of all, I would call full-bodied. Now, in this part of the cigar, and this wrapper is extremely coarse. You have a lot more of the charred oak notes, a lot more. You have the cedar. You don't really have the cocoa anymore. You're back to a lot of coffee notes and maybe a dark chocolate underlying flavor. The peppers remain very good. I would say the pepper may be not quite an 8 anymore, probably like a 7.5, between 7 and 7.5. The finish is about the same. Charred oak, what have you, on some cream notes, toasty cream, and still some nice lingering pepper. So definitely a flavor change now that you get to this point of the, well, what I'll call the second part of the wrapper. It's different from the beginning, first 4.5 inches of it, much different in flavor. The wrapper does change the flavor somewhat. Remember, the wrapper is only a small part of the cigar, but In this case, there is an influence of this different, darker, rougher wrapper. Well, I'm down to the end, so I'm gonna wrap it up. The wrapper here at the end is so coarse. I actually had to relight it, touch it up right here at the end. But the good part of the cigar has been achieved. The notes here at the end are still very full-bodied. A lot of charred oak notes, a lot of charred wood notes to go along with that cedar. Has just a touch of richness to it, not a lot, but it's very sweet. And the underlying coffee notes and dark chocolate notes are still very obvious. So to recap the cigar, it started out very nice. Had a lot of sweet notes. I like the cocoa intermix there in the midpoint. Sweet, rich. Had a lot of good points in this cigar. This last part of this wrapper, which is so thick and coarse, it does add a lot more body, but it's very, very hard to burn. So that's not going to be a deal breaker, but it is worth pointing out. And I'm still unclear as to why it's done that way, but I'm sure they have a great reason. The Kentucky Fire Cured has been definitely a different cigar from the normal My Uzi Weighs a Ton, in that it has a lot more of the dark notes. The original has a lot of dark notes, but this seems to have even more, and I do like the flavors. The cigar, as I said, ended up full-bodied. Very close to an hour and a half at this point, and very good cigar. Hard to find. Only one shop in town that I know of has it, so you will have a little trouble finding it, but well worth your trouble if you do. I'm rating the cigar a 92. Very good cigar, and as I said, hard to find. Around, I believe it was around $9. So try them if you can find them, and